So it's not clear from the topic of this event, Lagrange is a ZK company. We focus particularly on the generation of zero-knowledge proofs for one of our core applications, our ZK coprocessor, as well as for a number of our roll-up customers and clients, teams including ZK Sync, Polygon, and more. So what do we mean when I talk about a proof-based future? And I think it's important kind of to look at ZK at a macro level in the industry. A lot of people get into these talks and they talk about the specifics of an implementation and specifics of their product. They don't really talk about the way the industry is moving. There's a very interesting data point I saw yesterday. Right? The amount of sentiment towards AI, the amount of mind share taken by AI and crypto, is about 15 times that of ZK right now. And a large part of that is, I would argue, because ZK companies talk heavily about current state, right? The current benchmarks of the prover, the current performance of ZK versus OP solutions. And they don't talk enough about the directionality of the space, where ZK is moving, where the industry is moving, and how things are developing. Okay. So at Lagrange, I like to talk about this concept of proof-based future. We've come a long way, right? The last generation of middleware built in crypto was based on validation, right? POS systems or economic-based systems that would attest and assert some computation, whether that be from an off-chain Oracle feed, for a coprocessor, or for an execution space. Now, we're moving to this kind of hybrid, where we see a bunch of things proven in ZK. We see major ZK rollout. We see ZK VMs being used for coprocessing in teams like Lagrange building coprocessors. And we also see still a very large adoption of economic and optimistic solutions. With where we're going, we can kind of think of everything as becoming proof-based. A hegemony, if you will, of zero-knowledge proofs across every area and every layer of the stack. And so what Lagrange focuses on is building a market, an economy of proving for our core partners and then for our own products on top of a mechanism that our team develops. And so we like to call this universal and infinitely scalable proving. In effect, a single layer built by our company that supports proof generation for a very large set of our partners, for a very wide set of applications. And so you can prove anything with Lagrange. And so we work very closely with major NFT and DeFi protocols, people like 1inch, Frax, Azuki, Sappy Seals, Pudgy Penguins. We work very closely with a lot of cross-chain protocols. We distribute state proofs through teams like Layer 0, Polymer, Axelar, etc. We work with a lot of roll-up partners. We are the exclusive proof generation partners of Caldera, AltLayer, and we work very closely with major teams such as ZK Sync and Polygon. There's some major announcements that have been made and some that will come out very soon. And our provers and our network is operated by some of the top institutional operators in the space. People like Coinbase, Kraken, OKX, all run provers on Lagrange. Now, what makes our design special? Well, we have this concept we call a prover subnet. In essence, an isolated market within the broader topology of our network that allows us to specialize the types of proving that is being done within that market. Think of it as a single trading pair in an order book, but in the order book of proof generation. And so the way it works is we have a gateway that takes tasks that are received from incoming requests, an auction mechanism or a double auction mechanism very similar to an order book that we run, and then provers that bid to complete these tasks within some computational window. And then if they win the task, they generate a proof and they're compensated as such. Now, how does this work end to end? Well, a gateway receives a proof request. The gateway announces that all the provers subscribe to that. Provers bid to generate that task. Think of it as an auction. Buyers express price preferences on requesting proof generation. Sellers of compute express price preferences on providing that compute with a composition rule that matches bidders and sellers. Then that work is assigned out to the winning bidder. That bidder has a time constraint to generate that proof. If they generate it correctly, they get paid. If they don't, they receive a penalty, either in the form of slashing or non-payment action. And so what this lets us do is to have a highly scalable form of universal and decentralized proving, powered not by a single gateway that takes in all requests with shared bandwidth, but powered by a bunch of isolated subnetworks that allow us to change this topology to better scale to a very heterogeneous set of proving demands, right? You can think of it as a network of networks or a market of markets, right? You don't have a single trading pair for an entire exchange. You have a bunch of different trading pairs that you'll go and trade against. And it's the same concept for decentralized proving in a market. Now, we support, obviously, a variety of proving backends. Our coprocessor is based in Plonky 2. It's a SQL-based coprocessor, which we'll get into very soon. But we also have some work on ZKML using GKR that our team has authored and we'll be announcing more on soon. With our partners like Polygon, we obviously support Plonky 3 backends and Plonky 2 backends, and for ZK Sync, that's Boojum 2 and Boojum. Now Boojum OS. So there's a really broad set of proving systems we can support on the network. And so now, how does our auction work? So the great paper our team put out this year called DARA, Double Auction for Resource Allocation. It was accepted into Financial Cryptography FC25, which is one of the top conferences for academic kind of the intersection of economics and cryptography. And so the way it works is it's the first incentive-compatible double auction design for proof markets. It uses a novel composition rule and defines a set of properties under which an auction is deemed incentive-compatible, and then it is able to use that composition rule to match against those properties. Things like group strategy proofness, computational efficiency, budget balancing, welfare maximization, etc. I recommend anyone who's interested. The paper's online, it's on ePrint, and it'll be an FC this year. But our network runs this. This is how we assign work. And it's also how we're able to guarantee liveness, computational efficiency, collusion resistance, and all the great properties that you want in decentralized proving. And so our network's operated by a bunch of top operators, including people like Coinbase, OKX, Kraken, Nethermind, Blockdaemon, Anchor, P2P, etc., who all participate in these auctions and are paid accordingly. Now, this infrastructure is production ready. We've been in production for like 6-8 months at this point, and we're expanding pretty rapidly. And one of the kind of core owned products that we develop on this is what we call a ZK coprocessor, which is in essence a way that you can prove SQL computation over blockchain data. Well, why would you want to do that? Because the expressivity of a smart contract on chain is constrained by the computation it can access. So there's certain things you might want to build in Solidity that are not possible today. For example, you might want to compute the time-weighted average price of a trading pair in a DEX on Ethereum that you're going to use to price collateral in your lending app. Right now, you have to rely on an off-chain price feed or some type of centralized mechanism because Solidity itself is not expressive enough to handle that type of large computation of historical data. Well, we have a prover and then a language, or I guess a compiler, that allows you to write SQL over blockchain data and then to verify that computation back on chain. So how it works, your contract registers a query, an SQL query, and then it emits an event when it wants to request that query. It gets the result back and the proof of that query, and that it can then verify in the contract. And so we had some big announcements we did recently with AltLayer, Caldera, Polygon, ZK Sync, some teams that are building with us. We also had some great work with Azuki. If you guys are familiar, they're an anime NFT collection, one of my personal favorites. In particular, over building interesting on-chain experiences that use ZK. So one of the things I like to tell people is it's very easy when you're getting into ZK or excited about ZK to get lost in the math and the science of it, and that's awesome, right? But it's also great to look at the practical things you can build with it. And so one of the things that we built was this interactive kind of experience where you allow on-chain users to claim rewards that are proven in ZK based on their on-chain actions. Another great thing we did was with Gearbox. They're a very large lending protocol. And what it was is kind of this extension of the Sushi Master Chef standard, one of the common liquidity incentive standards. Sorry, actually it was 1-inch farming pool. which is a standard to incentivize liquidity that is commonly used by DeFi protocols. We took it, we updated it with ZK, much more performant, much faster, much more capital efficient. So for those of you who are interested, I recommend you follow us on Twitter or reach out to me. We also have a great Discord we call it the Lagrange Legion. Highly recommend anyone interested to go and join the Legion. And yeah, we have some great stuff coming soon. So thank you all. I'm out of time.
We've moved things around, so you have a good 5-10 minutes if you want to take questions.
Yeah, I'd love questions.
More of a discussion.
Let's do questions, guys.
Anyone has questions?
No questions. Yes.
Do you think ZK provers have use cases beyond blockchains?
Yes, they do. So there actually, people underestimate the amount of use cases ZK has beyond blockchains. And one of the best areas is aerospace and defense. So DARPA and DoD actually are actively exploring the applications of ZK. There's some great stuff done with the SIEVE program by DARPA, where we're using ZK to verify software supply chain. In essence, how do you ensure that verifiability of critical systems are being upgraded properly, as well as vulnerability disclosure proven in ZK. So proving that a software has vulnerabilities without disclosing the vulnerabilities. Another great thing in aerospace and defense related to autonomous systems. So ensuring that at runtime, say a kill chain relevant system has correctly run and is verified correctly run. Or decisioning over kind of any type of critical action in an autonomous system.
Cool.
Yeah.
Which implementation of ZK are you using? Stock or slot, or which one to find to
Yeah, so
use case?
Our team uses Plonky 2 and Plonky 3, or Plonky 2 for our coprocessor, which is it's Fry-based, so it's the Stark. Or it's Redshift, it's similar to Redshift, so it's like a Stark wrapped in a Stark. Plonky 3 is also being used based on some like Polygon. Boojum, ZK Sync's prover is very similar. It's Fry-based as well, so it's like Redshift once again. We use GKR, which is Snark as well, for some of our ZKML stuff. So there's a wide heterogeneity of systems, or of proving backends that we support on our system.
Any other questions? I had some that I was kind of saving for the panel, but maybe the main takeaway looking more into Lagrange is that you're creating more expressivity for the data on chain, and you're creating cross-chain. Like the value add of something like an SQL query for
the coprocessor, yeah. I mean, broadly as a business, we're a ZK company. I think one of the big issues that has existed in crypto is trying to break out the products that are being built by ZK into like a bunch of these sub-companies. Like, oh, you're a coprocessor company or a ZKVM company or proven markets. It's like one thing, right? You do ZK as your fundamental focus of business, or you don't. If your company is only capable of building a ZKVM or one product in ZK, you're NGM. In reality, like the market's not really large enough with your knowledge for you to like have a good performing token if you just do like one little thing, is what my, I guess, take would be. So if you're building in ZK, you should be comfortable building, a broad enough product suite to cover all of the areas that users want proofs for. And we like to practically see this, right? Like, a lot of the ZKVM teams are going to support other provers on their networks very soon after the launch of networks, because they're going to realize that they need to broaden the market to be able to actually compete on fees with competitive tokens. Like the amount of fees that like a DeFi token, like a DEX token can actually mint is like way higher than these proven tokens. So like, it's like, you gotta look where the money is.
You'd recommend this even for smaller companies that are in ZK?
Yeah, you should go for the whole market.
And what's your approach to other parties doing comparable work in the market that
we compete against?
Yeah.
Just gotta compete. Gotta compete.
Reasonable.
Gotta get up every day and compete. That's how you win.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. We'll have 5 minutes and then a panel with Ismael as well as 3 other people.
Wonderful.
So we're going to move things around and maybe the video has to change a little bit.
What's up, buddy? Not much, how you been? Good.